What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, and after the unbelievable summer, the excitement, happy Spurs fans everywhere, Spurs finally spending the big boy money, paying the big boy wages, the excitement going into this season, the excitement this morning when I woke up, when everyone woke up, football is back, Tottenham is back, it's been so long. Spurs got absolutely embarrassed, 3-0 away at Brentford at the G-Tech. And, you know, I always envisioned a hard game going into it, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. We were second best at every single level in every single area of the pitch. The second half was marginally better than the first half. But that first half, oh my God, it was embarrassing at times. The defending that was on show, the non-existent play going forward apart from a few kind of moments, the sloppy play, second to everything, no winning of the second balls, slow in defence, no aggressive play out the back. I mean, everything that could go wrong did pretty much go wrong in the second half. And this is what I was saying coming into this game. If you don't prepare well enough for the season, things like this can happen. I didn't think we were going to lose 3-0 today. I predicted a draw, but I didn't expect to see Spurs win the game today. It was much worse than I anticipated, don't get me wrong. But the point still stands because I don't think Spurs have been ready for this current campaign. And Brentford, when you look at the preparation that they had, they're a settled team, not much change, not many players at the World Cup, and they came into the season a lot more ready for us. And it showed. That first half, the opening half an hour, the opening 45 minutes was just a complete shambles. It really was a complete shambles. There's not one player that you can look at on the pitch that can hold their heads up high at half time and say, you know what, I had a good game today, because they were all embarrassing, every single one. It looked like there were 11 strangers on that pitch that we've just banded together and put out there to say, go on, let's go and win a Premier League match. And it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. It was marginally better in the second half, but the first half is what lost it for us. We were 2-0 down at half time, and it could have been a lot more. It really could have been a lot more. And look, don't get me wrong, I am fuming with that performance, and I'm upset with what I've seen, but it's not going to be what we're going to see this season. You know, coming into this game, we know that there are 4 or 5 players making debuts. We know, all the situations going into Spurs, more signings to come, and more players to be implemented, players that hardly even had a pre-season on the pitch today. And everything came to light, everything showed, and we got showed up for the poor preparation that we've had coming into this season. So, look, it's going to get better, but that first half was an absolute shambles. It was atrocious.
Yeah, we got punished today. We got punished for poor preparation. We got punished because we're not as settled as Brentford. We got punished for probably wrong team selection from Roberto Zerbi as well. We got punished because physically we don't seem as up for it or up to it as Brentford did today. We completely lost the physical battle. There's a lot of reasons we got punished today, and I think a lot of fans saw kind of, maybe not this bad, they saw a difficult game coming, they saw a bad performance coming. You know, we had 3 probably of our starting 11 on the pitch today. We had Archie Gray as captain. We have 2 players starting in the front line who most likely won't be here by the end of the window. And we've been punished for really, really poor preparation. Why the hell are we going off to Australia and New Zealand, putting all this extra strain on the squad? Where apparently, De Zerbi's blaming the flight for why Van der Ven isn't ready for the new season. You know, how many points is these stupid pre-season tours going to cost us? And there's just lack of preparation, lack of getting players up to speed before the start of the new season. And I think we've been heavily, heavily punished by a Brentford team who know what they're doing. They're settled in every department. They've got a manager who was a continuation of the manager before. Everyone knows their jobs. They improve every single year, it seems. They've got very good players. And if you're not up to scratch, if you come into this game not 100%, they will punish you. And that's exactly what happened. We were just all over the shop. Now, there's a bunch of excuses you can use for why Tottenham weren't good today and why there's reason to believe that today won't define the season. And I truly believe that it won't define the season, and we will get new signings, they will gel, and eventually we are going to get it right. But there also were a lot of concerns today regardless of that. Van Hecker was definitely a massive concern for me today. He struggled badly against Igor Thiago. I think he looked slow. His passing wasn't anything special today, personally. I know we've seen it better from him, but today it wasn't anything great. I was just looking at some of the stats. He had competed with 7 aerial duels and only won one of them. So he was completely bullied in the air for a 6'4" massive centre back that is nowhere near good enough. I don't think he looked particularly quick. I know that's been a fear for a lot of fans, but I think him and Senesi is definitely a lot of growing to do in that partnership, because they didn't seem in sync at all. I have to say, Lucas Bergvall, we had some doubts going into the game. I think off the ball again, especially for that first goal, lost his man, and defensively just switched off. I had some problems with that. I don't think he had a particularly good partnership with Tonali. So I do, and Antonin Kinski, I have to say, I mean, especially the second goal, spills it horribly, an absolute howler, which gifted Brentford that second goal, which was really a killer, because at that moment, I'm not saying we were in the game, but Brentford for the first 20 minutes were all over us. Could have been 2-3-0. We got away with it, and then we started to settle in the game. We started to pull a few passes together, and we started to get a bit more possession, and he just gifts them that second goal, and that really puts us in the shit. That gives us a mountain to climb. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily his fault, but the third goal was a bit of a mess. Sangari's shot gets deflected into him, it spills, and it's another easy goal, another really soft goal that we've conceded. And defensively, just in general, I know, you could, Van der Ven's coming back, Porro's coming back, but that's a back line, Gray, Van Hecke, Senesi and Robertson, and with Kinski in goal, that's a back line that might not be the last time we see that back line this season. So, that was a major concern, how all over the place and how poor and how soft we looked in defensively today. But as you say, second half was a little bit better. I think I was looking at the first half, I was looking at some of the stats, and I think it tells the story of the game on the ball. First half, our biggest passing combination was Kinski to Senesi. That was our most often combination. And in the second half, it was Bentancur to Fernandez. So all of a sudden, you saw we were starting to get a bit more of the ball, started to connect it, started to get the ball a bit hard to pitch. And to be honest, we should have scored a goal. Mikey Moore had a hat-trick of chances. He should be burying one of those. And I think today was an example of maybe why he needs that loan move, because he's not quite up to it. When he had those, you've got to be clinical in those situations. If we get that goal early in the second half, maybe we can mount a comeback. Maybe that changes things. He didn't score, and we never really looked like getting back in the game after those moments, unfortunately.
See, with Mikey Moore, in the first half, you barely even noticed he was on the pitch. In the second half, he was the only one to get in goal-scoring positions.
Correct.
So I give him credit for getting into those goal-scoring positions, but those two, especially the first two, just complete lack of conviction in his shots. Basically a P-roller. The keeper won't make an easier save pretty much all season with the first two. At least the third one, he forced the keeper into a really good save. So I think Mikey could have ended with a goal, but apart from those 3 moments, and they're big moments in the game, and he should have put one away at least, he was pretty non-existent. So I think it shows today that he does need that loan move, 100%.
Yeah,
but in terms of the defence, what you're talking about, and maybe not the last time that we see that back four played together, it bloody well should be, because I said it, we said it coming into the game, there's not much pace in that back line.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally said it and rammed it home in the preview, and I saw people in the comments saying, oh, stop being negative, stop being this, stop being that. They got eaten alive. They got eaten alive by that Brentford forward line. And that Brentford forward line has pace. It has conviction. It has quality. And it's the first time, you're looking at Robertson, first time playing with Senesi, first time playing with Van Hecke. They're all completely alien to each other. So you put them up with their slow pace up against a settled forward line. It was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, every time they got the ball, they were looking to play it early in behind our defence, and we struggled to really live with it. I also felt when we went, it was settled defence and set pieces. We struggled with set pieces today. This is one was also, I don't think they scored from a set piece, but well, maybe the third one was from a set piece. But I think when our team, when you're looking on the pitch, I was worried about us being bullied physically, because we don't have the most physical team. And set pieces, I think first contact more often than not was going to Brentford. We couldn't really live with them. We weren't aggressive enough. And then we had no outlet. Kinski was going long to Rishi. He was losing every long ball. Solanke came on. He didn't really change much. So we really struggled to get up the pitch. We had one spell, which is when we created the chances with Mikey Moore, when it seemed as though Tell and Robertson were starting to really link. and Tell was starting to get a bit of joy out of Coyote finally. And Robertson put a brilliant delivery in for Mikey Moore, and they were starting to play some good stuff together. But obviously, it didn't last too long, and that moment passed, and we didn't take advantage of it. Small positives, Fernandez.
Yeah,
good second half.
Fernandez was really good in the second half. I thought he ends up with probably the most credit. You know, he came on, he was playing the ball really nicely, he was driving forward, he was showing quality.
Yeah.
And in the moments that we were going forward and we were looking a little bit dangerous in the second half, I thought it was very much central to him.
Yeah, so I thought he came on, was a little bit of a touch of class. I don't think it was anything earth-shattering, but he was just much more improved than what we saw before, and just much more controlled. He wasn't sloppy on the ball, and yeah, just showed a little bit of quality.
But I think like when you compare him to Lucas Bergvall, like Lucas Bergvall in the first half did show, you know, he could drive the ball forward and bring the ball up the pitch a little bit, but it's night and day between Mateus Fernandez, because Mateus Fernandez, not only can he do that, he's got a pass on him, and also off the ball. He is just so much better than Lucas Bergvall.
He just seems more in control of himself.
Yeah.
He's just so much more controlled, and obviously, you know, it's only a matter of time before he's in the starting 11. We know that. I thought Madison, I don't think he was great when he came on, but he just looked a little bit sharper, and he was getting in better positions, picking up the ball in different spots. I felt like he was making these little runs and just made Brentford pull them apart a bit. And he looked a bit sharper than he did last week, so that was a little positive.
I would say with Madison, when he came on, he wasn't very much involved, like as soon as he came on. But as the game wore on, and as he got more into the game, he was looking more and more threatening.
Yeah.
So that's a massive positive, because I think it's night and day from what we saw a week ago to what we saw today. Obviously, last week in the friendly, we saw, you know, very, very rusty player and a player that was not sharp at all. So it's very positive, in my opinion, what we saw from Madison today.
Yeah, he's still rusty. I don't think he's at his sharpest, but I think the difference, So I think the fact that he was a lot sharper than last week. Not to say he's like at his peak sharpness. He still looks like he's playing at 70%, but the improvement was quite big. So hopefully, if that continues, he'll be back in the starting 11, no doubt.
I think Zerbi got it wrong today, to be honest, guys. I do think Zerbi got it wrong, because I was saying in the preview, like, in this game, let's just give the back four a bit of protection, because we know it's not our first choice back four. We know it's a slow back line. Let's just give them a bit of protection. I don't think there was any need to play Lucas Bergvall, and I think our best avenue to keeping the ball out of our own net was to play two more kind of defensive thinking players, two players that can really screen that back line. And if we played a Tonali with a Bentancur, maybe they could have screened that back four a bit better. And I think they did do that in the second half a bit more.
He did give away a penalty, Bentancur.
Look, 100%, yeah, fine. He gave away a penalty, but I think we looked a lot more kind of not vulnerable. We looked a lot more safe in that second half than we did in the first half. And I think Bergvall was just leaving all sorts of gaps in that midfield. And I think if you would have played a Bentancur alongside a Tonali, I don't think that would have been the case.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake. I think there are reasons he started him, and I think it's because he wants to prove that he wants him here and values him, and for those reasons. But we were saying before the game, weren't we, in the preview, I think to get this result and for the betterment of the game, it's probably not the right thing to start Bergvall in this game. You probably want a bit more maturity. You want a bit more kind of physicality in that middle as well. So obviously he got hauled off at half time. I also think a Gallagher, man, in that 10, I don't like it. I never have liked it. I don't think I ever will like it. So I don't know what we do about it, because he's here. He's one of our top earners. He's not really I don't see him getting a spot in the 8 position regularly with Tonali and Fernandez and other players ahead of him. He's playing in this 10 position, and the lack of quality, man. I hate it. His touches are clunky. His passes are his passes are poor. I just don't like it, and he got hauled off at half time as well, and I don't think Zerbi liked it either.
Yeah, look, we've mentioned it so many times throughout pre-season. He's not a 10 in a De Zerbi system. He might have created a few chances from his pressing and his work rate. That didn't happen today, but it will happen as the season progresses. I have no doubt about that. And I have no doubt about as well. Like, I don't think he's going to be a starting player under Zerbi once we get all our players fit and ready. As soon as Madison is ready to start games, he'll be starting in that number 10. So in terms of Conor Gallagher, I'm not the biggest fan of him, and I don't think he should be starting, but I don't think that's going to be his role this season. I think his role will be a squad player, and I don't mind that too much.
I mean, I don't mind it. It's not the end of the world as long as he is a squad player, if you know what I mean. Like, he gets squad player minutes, but I think at the start of the season he won't be. He's going to be starting probably for the foreseeable, but he just seems like an odd one out. He just seems like he doesn't fit completely, and it's no surprise to me that clearly Zerbi was getting frustrated with him. That's why he took him off, and I don't think what we gained with him off the ball in this game specifically minimised what he did on the ball, and it wasn't making up for it. He wasn't doing enough off the ball today anyway to make up for his lack of quality on the ball. Look, for me, like when it comes to Gallagher, if we can get some money for him, honestly, I'd heavily consider selling him, because I think he ain't going to be... I don't think he's going to have a future here. And I know it might sound reactionary based off this one game, and maybe if, you know...
I don't think it's based off this one game, though. It's based off what we've seen since he's come to Tottenham.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem like it's ever going to fit, especially under a manager like Zerbi. Like, I'm sure if he was playing for Brentford, he'd maybe look like a different player. Maybe he'd be fitting for them. But I think what we want to do, I don't think he's ever going to fit here. So I don't know what we do about that, because he's on big wages, and I'm getting really sick of his performances, to be honest. And I don't think it's his fault, because it's just he is trying. He puts his all in. It's just who he is, and that's it. Like, I don't have any ill feeling towards him. It's just I don't like how he plays football. That's it, really.
I don't blame you, to be honest. I'm pretty much in the same boat with you with Conor Gallagher, but look, you can't rate his effort. You can't knock his effort, because he gives his all into every game. I think if that's the last of we're going to see Richarlison in a Spurs shirt. He's gone out with a bit of a whimper today.
Shame.
I thought he put in an absolute stinker of a performance, Richarlison.
Bullied.
I mean, hold-up play was non-existent. I think, did he even... You know, we were trying to go long to him a lot in that first half, and every time he lost it. Like, every single time.
Well, I can tell, let's see, if when it comes to aerial duels...
Did he win one?
Where is he? 1-0.
Yeah, not surprising. So, yeah, he's gone out with a bit of a stinker. Look, there's not many players that can hold their heads up high after that game.
Was small, he was all right.
Senesi was probably the best in the back line. I thought Mateus Fernandez probably ends up our best player on the pitch overall, so it was a decent debut from him. But look, I think it's important not to go overboard here, because we're still... I don't look, obviously it's a tragic performance, it's a terrible performance, but I still believe that things are going to get a lot better for us this season. We've got so many players to implement. Zerbi is, he's got so much work to do to bring the cohesion back to this team. Like I said before, it looked like 11 strangers on the pitch, but when you look at the lineup today, that is very far from the lineup that Zerbi, in my opinion, that Zerbi envisages for this football team. You know, still Mickey van de Ven to come back, Madison to come back to full fitness. Hopefully, you've got Savinho, Marmoush, and potentially even a Cody Gakpo to come into this team. You've got Mateus Fernandez to be integrated from the start. You've got Pedro Porro to come back into this team. You've got so many players that, you know, are not at full fitness or haven't even featured today. So I still think there are so many reasons to still feel positive about Tottenham Hotspur and about moving forward into this season. Look, obviously you've got to say what you've got to see. You've got to say what you saw on the pitch today, and it was nowhere near good enough. We were nowhere near at the races. But I think it's important not just to throw your toys out the pram at this moment in time, because it will be a good season for us. I'm still very confident of that.
Yeah, I think it's not the time to melt down and start asking big, arching, big stuff questions, like, you know, talking about Zerbi's future or anything like that. Like, obviously now's not the time. I think there's a lot of reasons why today's performance happened, and there's a lot of reasons to believe that will change, and there's going to be a lot of change still to happen with the team that we saw today. I don't think we're going to see that 11 ever again in a Tottenham shirt. It's never going to happen. So this season or in the future, we're never going to see that 11 again. So it kind of feels like a very specific game, because even next week against Newcastle, you know, you're probably going to have Fernandez fully fit. You might have Solanke more minutes. You might have Madison a bit fitter. Doggy might even be fit enough to start games. You might have Savinho in the team. You might have Marmoush in the team. You might even have Cody Gakpo in the team. So it's going to be even next week. It's going to be a completely different team to what we saw today. So I do think this game was kind of very specific in its own bubble in a way, and there's no reason to go overboard with that performance and defeat. But you can't shy away from even within that performance and within those reasons and excuses, there are things to be concerned about just by little individual things and things that we've noticed. Not to say overly concerned, but to be concerned.
You know exactly what the narrative is going to be outside of Tottenham.
Oh, of course.
After this, the rival fans are licking their lips right now. They're saying, 3-0 away to Brentford, same old Tottenham, relegation battle once again.
Yeah.
But that is not going to be the case for us this season. We're going to get all these players integrated. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with this season under Roberto De Zerbi. I'm so confident of it. And this game is not kind of a barometer to look at of how good or how bad Spurs are going to be this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got so many players to integrate. So we all said it coming into the season. This season is going to be a slow burner. It can't not be with the amount of players that we brought in and how quickly it is. You're not going to gel on day one. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
especially against a team that doesn't need to gel.
And especially as how the team that we played today.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the lineup that we
and the
played
lineup,
today.
yeah. So yeah, I completely agree. Like, I don't think there's anything to go crazy about. There's no reason to be on social media going into meltdown and calling for this one's head or that one's head or that one needs to leave or this, that. Like, there's a lot of reasons why today happened. So
the biggest frustration, biggest frustration for me coming into this game is how early we got these signings in with Tonali and Fernandez and Senesi and Van Heck. We got them in so early, and then over a month of not doing anything, and that has contributed to us not being ready today. You know what I mean? Like, the preparation of this season has contributed to us not being ready. You know, De Zerbi was drilling it in, saying we need to get everything done so early. We need to go into the season ready, and we've gone into the season so underprepared. That is the reality.
Yeah, when it kind of just felt like there was no need to do that. It's kind of feels a bit self-inflicted from the preparation from that point. Albeit, there are some players that we are managing, and there's only so much you can do. And for whatever reason, they're not 100% fit. And I think we are doing the right thing where maybe there's some short-term pain with a result like this and performance like this, but hopefully over the course of the season, it stands us in good stead, and they're going to be fit enough to play more games now, in the long term. So I think we'll see how the season gets on, and we'll obviously be assessing it throughout every game, and that's how we're going to move forward. I kind of feel like this is just a game we have to put behind us, forget about it. It happened. There was a lot of reasons why it happened, and the season starts on Wednesday.
Look, this is a performance where everyone's going to be laughing at us. Everyone's going to, like I said before, relegation this, relegation that. Let's lull them into a full sense of security. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we'll catch them off guard next week against Newcastle. So
yeah.
Spurs lose 3-0 today. Absolutely embarrassing, but it's not all doom and gloom. Spurs will live to fight another day. I'm still confident we're going to have a good season, guys. So let us know your thoughts on the game in the comments section below, and we'll move on